Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you all for being here. Very excited about today. We're just seeing some people join the meeting, so we're gonna give it another 30 seconds before we kick off as a few more participants trickle in. And then Judith, whenever you're ready, go ahead and start the show, please.
Okay. Good. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Blue Accelerator Demo Day at the Blue Institute. My name is Judith Underwood. I'm the founder of the Blue Institute and one of the board members. I see we have some of our board members here. Hi, Evan Franks, right there. And I want to welcome you here. The Blue Institute was started in 2016 to focus on creating solutions for clean water and climate change and to bring about healthy and secure oceans. And we have many different programs. You can see that on our website. We take an interdisciplinary approach. We want to get folks out of their silos and talking to each other that normally don't. And we're very focused on early stage entrepreneurship. And this is, we know that entrepreneurship is very, very hard. And that's why this program with our incredible mentors, like this program just would not happen without the mentors. It's just in blue tech and climate tech and blue economy startups, it's a very deep chasm that they have to get through and get over. So thank you all for coming here today. And we really appreciate that. I'm very pleased. Congressman Keating, he could not be with us today, but he did send me a message to convey to you all. He says, I'm sorry that I could not join you live this morning, but I felt that it was important to pass along a message of support for the work happening here today. And I thank Judith and Nathan for the opportunity to pass along some brief remarks. I've had the honor of representing Southeastern Massachusetts in the United States Congress, and I am proud of our region's leadership in the blue economy. But more importantly, this morning, I am proud of Blue's leadership in mentoring and growing the blue economy, both locally and nationally. The presentations this morning represent a wide variety of Blue solutions for the issues facing our economy and our environment. And with the help of the Blue Accelerator, I do not doubt that we will see many of these solutions make an impact around the world. Thank you all for the work you do every day that contributes towards the sustainable blue economy our world needs, and best of luck to today's presenters. So thank you all for coming, and I'm going to switch over to Nate.
Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Congressman Keating, for your support for our climate and for our program. It is sincerely appreciated. Welcome to the Blue Accelerator Demo Day. First, I'd like to thank again our volunteers and mentors who've made this cohort a success. BX2, our second cohort, has had 17 mentors that spent the 12 weeks with the startups, guiding them and advising them along the way. I'd like to give special thanks to a few key contributors that provided subject matter expertise to our cohort during presentation sessions. Justin Kerr, brand strategist and owner of Justin Kerr Design. Kate Putnam, just a prolific entrepreneur and mentor to the cohort. Erica Hansen, director of R&D at Ash Robotic. Nick Herring, environmental scientist with the city of San Diego, also a mentor to this cohort. Stacy Swider, VP of investments at Mass Ventures. Greg Stoyer, senior lecturer at Boston University Questrom School of Business. Sophia Kanbasis, executive director at Massachusetts Innovation Network, also a mentor to the cohort. David Duquette, CEO and founder of Literal Power Systems. And last but not least, Garrett Douglas, president founder of Douglas Communications, also a mentor to the cohort. So why are we here? Shifting weather patterns threaten food production, rising sea levels increase the risk of catastrophic flooding, and the impacts of climate change are global in scope, and recent catastrophes are unprecedented in scale. Without drastic action, adapting to these impacts in the future will be more difficult and costly. Our adaptation relies on the creation of climate tech solutions and a sustainable ocean economy. We're hosting this demo day to showcase 9 of those needed solutions. We've chosen this week to host, as Wednesday was World's Oceans Day, an international day to celebrate the ocean and bring communities together for environmental impact. All nations share the oceans and our planet's climate. We are one of 70 events taking place around the world just today in conjunction with World's Oceans Day. This is a movement that is not just social, but economic as well. According to the US Department of Commerce, by the start of the new decade, the blue economy across the globe is expected to double to $3 trillion. This growth will come from developing creative solutions to problems in marine transportation, offshore renewable energy, seafood, fishing, coastal travel, tourism, and more. Here at the Blue Institute, we believe that these problems will be solved through collaboration across industries, academia, government, and startups, which brings us here today. Our amazing cohort of startups are the entrepreneurs working in the trenches to create solutions to our most pressing climate issues. Creating dialogue and partnership within this group is one of the key things that we want to take away from this session. Any partnership that we can create and dialogue will accelerate these startups' impact. You'll be hearing about upcoming environmental markets that will create an entire wave of environmental restoration companies, similar to what is being produced in the carbon offset market. Ways to unite slow-moving scientific community via real-time shared marine observation data. Step changes in how our society will create sustainable food supplies through seaweed growth and nutrient upcycling. Systems that will revolutionize the shipping industry carbon footprint, the desalination of mining waters, and the harnessing of our ocean's power. And incredible new ways humans will interact under the water, from staying in pressurized underwater habitats to our ability to salvage the relics of our past environmental discretions. Each startup will be presenting for 5 minutes, followed by an open 2 minutes of Q&A. Since we have a rather large group here today, if you have a question, please put it into the chat, and then I'll moderate questions at the end of the presentation. And after all of the presentations are complete, we have breakout rooms that we've already created. So each startup will have their own breakout room, and you'll be able to go as you will through each of the breakout rooms to have more in-depth conversations with the startups. For your reference, I've also posted the agenda for today's session in the chat. Please download to follow along. And one last note before we start: we are recording the session, and so want to make everyone aware of that. And without further ado, I'll kick things off with our first startup presentation, 13 Mari. Krasi, over to you.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you for the introduction, and it's a great privilege and pleasure being here and being part of the cohort. Just bear with me for a second. I need to find the PowerPoint window. It should be somewhere. Yep, here it is. Sorry about the delay. I hope you can see the screen. Good morning, everyone. My name is Krasi Fotev. I'm founder of 13 Mari. And 13 Mari has smart maritime elements, increasing fuel efficiency by up to 7%. Fuel costs are top of mind these days as we fuel our car tanks at the pump. And I now imagine the sweat of the maritime operators filling a commercial vessel for cross-ocean voyage. So the maritime industry faces twofold challenge stemming from the energy needs. First comes the number one expense. And in general, by reducing the use of fuel, we increase the commercial advantage. Second, we spoke about the decarbonization. The International Maritime Organization has a very aggressive targets to cut CO2 emissions from maritime. Third thing, investment banks, global investment banks are behind the Poseidon principles, generally cutting services for everybody who does not comply with the decarbonization goals. With these challenges in mind, let's reintroduce our solution. We reduce the cost of fuel. How? By reducing the ship resistance or drag, also optimizing the crossing times. As the energy requirements go down, the fuel consumption goes down, CO2 emissions go down. This is the size of the market for our product. It's based on bottom-top estimate following the Norske Veritas methodology. The bottom line is the market is big, 6.7 billion, CO2 elimination potential, 45 million tons per year. Our story began here at Lac Bay in the Caribbean. My education in, I was windsurfing one day, and my education in physics helped me know these structures. And after research and with a very simple pitch, I was able to recruit a recognized NATO and DARPA partner as a principal researcher, namely the Bulgarian Ship Hydrodynamics Center. After doing simulation, experiments, etc., we settled on this element. Our product increases the mass flow by 10%. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in the testing that we've done, this 10% translates to 20% less drag. The 20% less drag translates one-to-one to energy, fuel, and proportionally to cost savings in relation to the element of cost. When applied to maritime, we cannot cover the entire hull with the elements, so the savings go down. We apply between 15 to 30 elements to achieve 3 to 7% drag reduction. The size of the elements is somewhere around 1% of the element vessel size. We epoxy glue them directly on the hull. With this, the installation is quick. They stay securely attached for 5 years, and it's important to keep in mind that every vessel undergoes scheduled maintenance, mandatory one, every 5 years. By not compromising the hull integrity, our product does not require any certification. A few words about the unit economics. We have value price revenue model with savings split between the vessel owner and 13 Mari. For 1 year return of investment, the vessel that you see 360-meter one is will be generating 800,000 for 13 Mari at 85% gross margin, and the vessel owner is realizing 3.2 million in savings over the course of 5 years. This means that we don't need to sell a lot to achieve the goal of 33 million in the revenue projections. Of course, we have competition. It's important to realize that we are first mover with a novel patented passive and simple zero operating expense product that can be used on top of any existing solution to maximize efficiency for savings and stack. And none of the competition comes close in terms of implementation cost and overall product that drives better returns. You've seen the size of the market, the size of the price. So why we need 1 million investment from you to retrofit a commercial vessel and start commercial operations. This is how we use the funds. We are 3 to 5 months away from putting a product in the water. Few words about us. We have great wealth of experience. We blend maritime, scientific, and business. We have a great board of advisors behind us. We really are pushing, really confident that the product can achieve at sea what we've seen in tests and simulations. These are our partners. We won the Captain's Table December 2021, which unlocked a relationship with Lloyd's Register. Lloyd's committed to certifying the savings of our product. HFW provides industry-specific advice. The important thing is that those partners, they complement 13 Mari, and we have manufacturing, additional installation protocol validations, etc. covered. We won't compete on labor. This is what we have in the customer pipeline, 40 million market slice. Other vertical applications are possible. For instance, reducing the drag on airplane fuselage, etc. The exit, we did analysis, we think 250 million exit is possible. There are $3 billion maritime companies that can afford that. And considering how early we are, 20,000 check may translate to 1 million exit per year. And in summary, we have low cost, patented, innovative approach for reducing drag. 45 million tons of CO2 can be eliminated. We have a horizontal platform that can expand into other verticals. We have distribution channel in place. We haven't spoken about that. And thank you. And I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Krasi. Very nicely done. One question I have, Krasi, can you tell a little bit more about installation and getting into new ship construction versus retrofitting?
Sure. Eventually, the elements, they need to find its place on new vessel hosts. It's interesting to bring this question. Recently, we had a conversation with former chief innovation officer from a major shipping maritime company. And based on the conversation, he thinks that it may be better if we stick to the retrofitting option, even on new vessels, because this will allow us to improve the efficiency going forward with additional R&D. And in terms of revenue that the company can generate, this can be more revenue than we'll get from licensing. The attachment is it's something that does not raise any concerns in conversations with composite specialists. We're working with Intertek on validating the installation protocol. We devised an installation protocol that calls for the attachment in a middle layer. So if something should happen to the elements and they're being detached from the vessel, we leave barrier coat on the hull, so no immediate remediation is needed. We did a lot of work around that.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Krasi. Great presentation. Thank you very much. Next startup.
Nathan, I have a quick question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
This may be a naive question, but you're reducing drag. So does that mean that the boat goes faster?
Yes. This means that we can also, there are two ways you can view it. Either we are reducing the fuel consumption, or with the same fuel consumption, you can get faster crossing. Well,
and what I was thinking of too was, just think of a sailboat where there's no fuel. You're not using fuel. The sailboat will go faster.
Yes.
And have you teamed up with any racing groups?
We spoke to racing people. They don't allow any attachments to the hull. So if you have the elements, then we have to pre-bake them into the hull.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Great. Sure. Thanks, Alex. Wow. Moving on to Doggerland offshore.
It's Captain Tony Howard. I do have one question. If you give me a second.
Yes.
So my question, one of the things that causes drag on naval ships is the biogrowth, right? And so all of the barnacles and things that actually attach to the ship, when it's sitting in port and things like that, cause drag. Do your attachments account for that, or do your attachments inhibit biogrowth as well?
This is a good question. Well, the attachments are covered with anti-fouling, so they should foul the same way the rest of the vessel fouls. But it's important to know that the attachments that we have, they're macro attachments. So for instance, in the 360 meter example, we'll have a 3.6 meter attachment, individual one, and we need about 15 to 20 of those. They're macro. They can anti-foul, but they can still work. They can foul, but they can still work considering the relative size of the attachment to the size of the organic growth that is accumulated there.
Thank you. We will have breakout rooms after all of the presentations. And so if you're available to stay on, each founder is going to have time to answer all of your questions in depth in one-on-one sessions, but I do want to try to get through the schedule. We've got a lot of startups to present. And so I will unfortunately cut the open conversation to be brief for each of the startups, and would ask, reserve most of your questions for the breakout rooms. Go ahead, AOL.
Yes, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me very well. I have to share my screen. Do you see it?
It's not coming through yet.
Not coming through yet.
There we go.
And now, you see something, Knight?
Yep.
All right. All right. Good afternoon, all. My name is Ewout Visser, and I'm the director of Doggerland Offshore in the Netherlands, and I'm a marine professional for about 30 years in the construction industry. And why is my cursor not working? Okay. I have some bad news for you. We have currently subsea, we have a lot of dump sites with conventional bombs, chemical bombs, grenades, all kinds of ammunition. We have barrels of radioactive waste, barrels of industrial waste, and we have a lot of oil leaking vessels and wrecks. Well, I think the problem is clear. These objects were never designed to stay subsea, and these highly corroded UXOs are dangerous due to the uncontrolled self-detonation and the leakage. And it really happens right now. In Ireland, in UK, in Germany, they are leaking a lot of these chemicals, and it's a really big problem. It's a serious threat to nature and the human life. And there is currently no realistic salvage technology available. And so there is absolutely no competition for these difficult problems. And I was very much intrigued by the matter of the sunken U-864 in Norway. And that vessel that was shot in 1945, it's a German submarine, and it sunk in 2 parts, and it's embedded currently in the fat clay. And she was carrying 67 tons of fluid mercury in her keel, and she still has 27 torpedoes on board. The Norwegians tendered this project in 2008, and it was cancelled, not due to the high costs, but due to the high risks. The tender was about $153 million, and they said we don't believe in it, the risks are too high. So I thought about it, and I said, well, I will have to find a solution for that. And you can see here is the location where that keel is in the clay. The problem is that there's also a lot of mercury already spread around the seabed, and you understand that if you have to remove such a vessel from the seabed, you need to pull it up, and it must be strong and solid, otherwise you break it again. And that is the problem with this kind of old wrecks. They are very rusty and very corroded, and they don't have any strength. So I thought about a solution, and I came to the comparison with a teacup. And in the teacup, I hope you can see also my cursor on the screen. You see that you have here, you have the tea bag with the paper, and it's very fragile, and inside there are the leaves, and here is the clay. And if you try to pull out this tea bag, you will tear it apart, and that is not what we want. So the first step, what we do is we add a gel inside this submarine. It's a special gel. And then we use liquid nitrogen. And with the liquid nitrogen, we completely freeze the wreck, including the hull, including the mercury inside, including the clay around the keel. So we have one big lump of ice, and we will lift that to the surface. And then it's not a matter anymore of how fragile is this tea bag or the submarine, or how any danger for the mercury, because everything is embedded and encapsulated in the ice. And it's about how strong is this string. And we call this method the ice salvage method, and it's patented. And there is unfortunately a very big market for it. There we have a lot of dumped munition in Europe. You can see only in the Baltic Sea, 1.6 million tons, UK, 1.2 million tons, USA, Japan, Russia. And even in Russia, there are a few scuttled nuclear submarines which need to be salvaged. And I have a map of the world where you can see the problems. And this is only the chemical munition. There are also about 100 dumping sites in the world for radioactive waste, and you can see that here on the map. And there are about 8,500 oil polluting wrecks known worldwide, and you see it here on the map. So there is a huge market, and there's of course also the regular commercial salvage projects, vessels like this stranded on the shore. So we like to go to market with the idea And for the projects in Northwest Europe, we would like to execute that together with our partner, and that's Multraship, Towage and Salvage of the Netherlands. And for all the other areas in the world, we like to license our patented technology. So far, we received a small grant for some market research. The complete theory was studied by the Technical University of Delft in Holland, and there are no real showstoppers on the technology. And we presented this idea to the Norwegian expert committee, who is currently looking for a reliable method to salvage the cargo of the U-864. And they were quite impressed, but they like to see a proof of concept. And that's, of course, the problem at the moment. I need some funding. I don't have the funds to start all this research myself. So I like to expand the team, do lab testing, then do testing at sea, make a demonstration project, and then we start with commercialization. So the conclusion is, I think that the timing is right. There are big salvage projects coming up, and they will start in the next years. Not only the U-boat in Norway, but the German government already made 500 million available for starting with removal of chemical weapons in the Baltic Sea. So if we can have 10% of that market, it would already be very nice. And as far as we know, there is no competition who can pick up this difficult weapon systems. So we would like to ask you for financial support, technical support, and introduction to launching customers. And if you like to help, to support, and to have impact on a healthier ocean, I would like to invite you in the breakout room. Thank you very much.
Thank you, AOL. Very, very nice. Appreciate your solution here. This problem is massive, and I get emotional when I see those maps. What do you see as the first project that you would actually try to salvage? There was a lot of different things that you could do.
Yeah, the technology can be made available for a lot of projects, and as you can understand that this U-boat, that's the Super Bowl game, that's the big one. I think we have to start with smaller projects, and let's start with some small debris fields with chemical weapons in the Baltic Sea. That's doable, and I think that's the first real good chance to start.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, AOL. Christine, over to you. We'll move on to our next startup. This is eOceans.
You can hear me? Yes, great. Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Christine Wardpage, a marine scientist with 20 years experience leading global marine research and the founder of eOceans. Today, I'm excited to share with you our new urgent solution to complex global problem that will save billions of dollars and help restore ocean health and value. Let's dive in. As you are all very well aware, the ocean economy is extremely valuable to billions of people and home to millions of species. But plastic pollution, misuse, illegal fishing, climate change, and many other threats are rapidly eroding the value. On the other hand, billions have been spent on conservation. Species have avoided extinction, fisheries have improved, tourism has value, and protected areas are growing. The ocean, especially with the increase in the blue economy, is becoming increasingly more complex and dynamic, and that was in addition to how complex and dynamic it already was. But everything we know about the world's oceans and its influence on society depends on the important discoveries made by marine scientists. The problem is that science is still manual, siloed, and slow. We're still handwriting down our observations, entering it into spreadsheets, and analyzing for one question at a time. So our discoveries lag years to decades behind ocean change. Over the last 15 years, I've been working to fix this through participatory science. For example, people love manta rays. Tourists spend more than $140 million a year in just 10 communities to see them. So alarms rang when they started to disappear, and I was solicited to help. By crowdsourcing ocean observations from ocean explorers around the world, we revealed that although only 2 countries reported catching manta rays, that they were being caught and sold in markets around the world. And this discrepancy was enough to help them get onto the endangered species list. But even this was still manual. Hundreds of thousands of records, 90 regions of the world, and many months of time. And that's just to answer one question. We urgently needed a solution that would scale up, that could scale up and answer all of these questions for any marine species in any issue in any part of the world's ocean in real time. And that is eOcean's new platform as a service, which powers ocean allies to track any species, any issue at any spatial scale in real time. How does it work? We have a mobile app that you use to track your activities, and you log your observations on the way. Whether you are doing science or fishing or surfing or sailing or walking the beach, you track your activity, which is effort, and log observations of pollution or species along the way. Oops. And we knit that data, your data, together with everyone else's data, as well as other open source data sets or other data sets, and analyze them so that we can finally answer this question: how is my marine protected area, ocean, endangered species, commercial species, invasive species, fishery, intervention, blue economy, blue carbon, and so on doing today? Not how is it doing 5 to 10 years ago. This is how it looks in the dashboard. So you put in the shapefile of the area that you're that you're interested in this case, a marine protected area. As people track through or use the marine protected area for different activities and are logging their activities and observations, then you get a scale of how your MPA is performing today. And it's hugely scalable, so we can do it at any spatial scale, covering the networks of marine protected areas around the world. So we know how they're performing today. And then, of course, you can drill in further and get detailed analytics at species or issues and generate automatic reports on a weekly timescale. Our pricing model is a subscription freemium model where it's free to put data in and to share with as many people as you want. And then if you want advanced analytics or different types of reports or e-logs, sort of more advanced tools, essentially scaling up my expertise, you can get that in near real time. We estimate that it'll save about $5.7 billion a year in research dollars, as well as alleviating the costs associated with mismanagement, like closed fisheries, missed discoveries, miscommunications, delayed actions. Our team is comprised of marine scientists, PhDs, developers, and creatives. And today we have one simple ask, and that is for you to download the mobile app and log observations and join the global community that's tracking the ocean today. And to get, if you know of any researchers or decision makers that are working on really important things today that need real-time information, get them started or encourage them to use eOceans to be tracking the ocean today. For the ocean, for us. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Christine. One question I have is, how do you actually validate the data coming in?
So there's many different prongs for validation. One is that you have to be in the location because it's geo-stamped information. So you can't be in your living room generating, fake information. We also use the data itself to validate. So if Nate and I go out and I'm an expert and he's, a novice and has only reported a few times or moves around the world a lot, then my observations sort of count for more weight. But it really depends on the question that's being asked. So if you're tracking the socioeconomic value of the ocean, like where are people going and how are they using it, it doesn't really matter how good they are at identifying species. But if you're trying to track right whales or an invasive species, then you put in information on how to identify. And so when people join your team, you're fairly comfortable that they've been trained in identifying that species. So it really depends on the question that you're asking and how you're using the platform.
Awesome. Thank you, Christine. Our next startup, Ivan is in a kind of questionable internet area. So I'm going to play a pre-recorded version of his presentation just to make sure there's no glitches in the communication there. But then he's going to join us for the Q&A afterwards, and he still will be available for his breakout room as well.
Hi, my name's Ivan Francis, and I am one of the co-founders of Argonetta. Just give me a moment here to finish getting my computer set up. So I believe that as people, we all enjoy experiences, and experiences are one of those things that help remind us that we're alive. And the experiences could be as simple as wanting to go to a restaurant for a nice meal, or the experience could be even wanting to go into space. And I also believe that when we have these experiences, they could change our outlook on the world. And so, for example, just recently, William Shatner, who some of us might know as Captain Kirk from Star Trek, he had an opportunity where he spent just 4 minutes in space. And when he came down and he was describing the experience, he was in tears. He actually said that everyone on the planet should have an opportunity to experience space the way he did, because we'd fundamentally treat our planet differently. And while there's a lot of different organizations who are working on giving us ways to see space differently, right now there really isn't anyone who's doing something similar within the ocean and providing us some new and innovative ways to experience our oceans. And at Argonetta, we see that as an opportunity. And so we are in the process of developing underwater habitats for short-term stays of between 1 to 14 days, which would allow a person to go down into the ocean, go inside of our habitat, which is essentially like a tiny house, remove your scuba gear, you'd have all the creature comforts of home, but then you're experiencing the ocean in a fundamentally different way. And rather than kind of try to describe it to you in words, I have a short video that will also allow you to see it for yourself. So not only are we in the process of creating these fantastic experiences, we believe there's also a very strong business proposition here as well. So when we take a look at the various use cases where this makes sense, with the total market opportunity would be a little bit shy of $500 billion. And in each one of these particular use cases, there's a significant advantage to the habitat in the form of diving that we would produce in terms of each one of these users. So whether it's scuba divers who would experience 3 to 5 more times time underwater to enjoying their sport, or to coral reef restoration, we would see a significant decrease in the amount of time it takes to plant large amounts of coral. At the market that we would start off with, recreational scuba divers, we would be able to use just that one particular market to help us grow to revenues of about $61 million over a 5-year period. When it comes to traction, we have been able to take the virtual reality version of this habitat, so that's what we use to create the video, and take it to a number of different conferences. And as we've done that, just to see the awe and wonderment on someone's face as they're able to experience the habitat has just been fantastic. We also ran a market test where we put up a web page, saw the ability to drive traffic, and in just 4 weeks, we were able to get about 1,000 people signed up to our email address wanting to know more. And as of today, we actually have our patents filed, both a design patent and a utility patent for our habitat. And so we are looking for 1 or 2 things. So number 1 is we want to be able to move from the virtual world to the physical world in terms of building out our habitat. And so investors are able to partner with us. We're looking for $250,000 of pre-seed investment to help us with building our MVP. In addition, we're looking for individuals who can partner with us to help give us skills, expertise, et cetera, to help us realize this bold, audacious vision that we have for a company focused solely on individuals living underwater. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Ivan, very, very cool. One question that, this is awesome go-to-market to focus on just exciting adventure, but what do you see as far as this technology's ability to impact the environment? And specifically, I saw the coral reef market is the biggest market on your addressable slide.
Yeah, so thanks for the question. So coral reefs are under significant pressure. So in Florida alone, I think 90% of the coral reefs have died over the past 20 years. And scientists have been able to figure out that if you can take a small piece of coral, you can regrow it pretty quickly. And so on land-based growth areas, you can grow them 30 to 50 times faster. The challenge is that planting that coral still requires a scuba diver doing manual work. And most of the time when someone's doing that diving, they're held to recreational dive tables that'll limit them to 2 to 3 hours of diving per day. What we're introducing technically is a form of shallow water saturation diving. And depending on the depth of our habitat, we get significantly more time or even unlimited bottom time due to the nitrogen absorption. And so by being able to use our habitats, it would significantly reduce the time. We've done some initial modeling to say that we believe we could probably reduce or sequester up to 500 tons of carbon every year just from regrowth of coral by the time we get to that 5-year mark. So thank you for the question.
Awesome. Ivan, thank you very much. Next up, we have Anne from Red Rose Developments. Anne, go ahead.
Yes, good morning and good afternoon to everybody. I've had to go onto microphone because there's a howling gale outside in Northwest Ireland, which is not unusual. I will launch straight in, sharing my presentation. And if you could confirm that you can see this. Yep, is that all good?
Yep, we got it.
Excellent.
Greetings from Northwest Ireland, where you'll find Red Rose Developments. My name is Anne Ruddy, and I'm going to talk to you about how we bring the process to the seaweed, making it efficient, sustainable, and equitable. I'm going to show a short video, and then I'll bring you up to date with what has been happening over the past 12 weeks.
On a clear day from a distance, our beautiful blue planet appears to be perfect. We're unable to see the plastic or CO2 pollution, the impact of climate change, or the many inequalities. And as we come out of this global pandemic, the world is awakening to the fact that we cannot keep damaging the atmosphere and taking resources from our fragile Earth without consequence. And yet we need to feed a growing population and increase our food supply by 70%. We need solutions now, solutions that are sustainable and equitable. Seaweed is the fastest growing sector on the planet. It is forecast to reach $84 billion in global sales in the next 5 years, an annual growth rate of between 6 and 10%. It requires no land or fresh water to grow. It absorbs nitrates and 20 times more CO2 than trees. It's used for food, for feed, fertilizer, pharmaceuticals, fabrics, even biopolymer and biofuel. But as seaweed demands increase, we put pressure on the wild stock. Overharvesting causes underwater deserts, acidification, and loss of marine biodiversity. We need to farm at scale and to process efficiently. Red Rose offers a solution that will provide an increase in biomass and provide commercial opportunities for fishermen and rural coastal communities, creating a sustainable and equitable seaweed economy. We offer an innovative business model, a supply chain that turns fishermen into ocean farmers, generates additional income streams without overfishing. We increase the value of that raw material with a strong commercial proposition linking floating farms with an infrastructure of owner-operated processing units, where only sustainable amount of wild stock and farm stock is taken from the ocean. Using renewable energy, we increase the value through early-stage moisture, mineral, and nutrient capture. We supply mineral and nutrient-rich liquid and solid seaweed to meet these growing demands. Each part of the supply chain increases the value to the environment. It promotes equality and social inclusion through owner-operated systems. Using innovative approaches and novel technologies, we increase the value and expand market opportunities, not just here in Ireland, but wider, much wider. We offer a global solution for a global problem.
So that's the context. And now I'm going to bring you up to date with some data about the size of the market. And in pure seaweed alone, we're looking at sales of over 9 billion in the next couple of years. Europe currently imports over 600 million euros worth of seaweed. Our beachhead market for our seaweed outputs will be targeted to the fertilizer and animal feed, but we're also getting significant interest in the food sector. And we anticipate the beachhead market being worth 70 million euro. The units that were mentioned is the floating farm, and I'll come back to that in a moment. But what I want to impress on you is how replicable the system is. It is something that's a cookie cutter approach. It's a low skills base with full training provided, and we anticipate significant profit as we replicate these units around Ireland, but also globally, wherever there's coast, wherever there's seaweed. Now, the exciting news is that last weekend, we proof of concept with our floating farm, producing amazing quality seaweed. The system was proven to be robust. It suffered 4 named storms in Blacksod Bay, which is a survival site. Those storms hit it one after the other within a 7-day period, and the system was robust enough to cope with it. The second achievement that is significant is that we've now determined that the site is perfectly towable using existing fishing equipment. We're currently looking to raise 450,000 euro. We have already secured match funding up to 250,000. We have clear and defined milestones, and our use of funds is clearly determined in terms of CapEx, small amount of OpEx, and we're keeping our team lean and mean. My name is Anne Ruddy. We'd love you to join us on our journey, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
I will, seaweed, a lot of us don't know a whole lot about seaweed. Can you just talk more about what are the different uses of seaweed?
Yeah, well, you would know that actually you probably used seaweed this morning in your toothpaste. It acts as a stabilizer. You can find it in many different foods as a congealant, but it can be used in everything from fertilizer. It conditions soil. It's now being used in biopolymer. And we've actually just heard 2 days ago that we're on to the final panel for the IKEA selection for new marine materials. So things are progressing. We have demonstrated that we can grow and increase the volume. We've got letters of intent from fishers, and we've got letters of intent from harvesters with legal access in Ireland to seaweed. And we'll be able to increase the value significantly by creating more product from one batch. At the moment, the seaweed is being used for specific application, but all of the product is being used for that application, and there is significant waste. We don't have waste on our system.
Awesome. Thank you, Anne. If you are interested, definitely meet Anne in the breakout room. She's got awesome things to share about her progress. With that, Scott, we're going to turn it over to you to talk to us about Creek. Give me a second and I'll bring your presentation.
Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Cummings from Waldoboro, South Carolina. I am the founder and president of Creek Tides Energy and Power Incorporation. My background for over 35 years is in electrical generation, from distribution, transmission, power plant, and now natural gas transmission. I am here to discuss a new novel technology called the reactive reversible blade turbine for power generation and pumping water. Go to the next slide. The problem is 72% of the world's energy is coming from non-renewable sources like coal, oil, natural gas, and biofuels. Our Earth's water sources represent 70% of the world, which present a significant potential to shift the balance to free, natural, and dependable resources. The current fixed blade turbine technology is not scalable and requires high velocity water flow for power generation. This leaves a tremendous untapped potential for slow moving water currents. Okay. The solution to capturing these slow moving water currents is the reactive reversible blade turbine. And here's a video of a small prototype working in water currents under 2 miles per hour. This will help you to understand how simple this is and how it operates.
Creek Tides Energy and Power proudly presents the reactive reversible blade turbine. This new patent pending design provides an ingenious solution to hydropower generation from slow-moving currents like river, tidal, and ocean. Prior to our design, it has been difficult to harness the unlimited power from these sources due to the inefficiency of fixed-blade turbines. To solve this problem, the reactive reversible blade turbine features blades that pivot to capture the maximum force of the water current to propel the turbine. Then pivot again on the backside to a neutral position, then slice through the water with almost zero drag as the blades return to create torque continually. This design marks a milestone for turbine development. It works vertically, horizontally, and bidirectionally, making it perfect for tidal applications. Visit creektides.com to learn more.
All right. Now that you have seen the product, let's talk about the market segments. Because of the scalable design from retail size to the industrial size, it enables us to service many market segments like commercial, military, industrial, and humanitarian relief. Our go-to-the-market strategy is to leverage military contracts to build a flat-pack prototype turbine, which 2 Marine/Army soldiers can carry to a remote water-flowing location and assemble very easily. This will enable them to power up their technology and the communications equipment without having to use diesel generators. From there, convert the military product into a retail model to charge cell phones, computers, and batteries for people like campers, hikers, kayakers, and preppers. The next step after this, the money flow is coming into the company, is to scale up to develop the industrial mega turbines, where big power companies can deploy and use the power to power up our whole world from free, natural, and dependable resources. Okay. As you can see in this slide, the energy that is being consumed is growing at a great demand, thus capturing just 1/10 of 1% of the non-renewable energy market would represent a yearly $2 billion opportunity. My progress to date is that I have built a working prototype, as you have seen in the video. I am patent pending in USA, Europe, Great Britain, South Africa, and India. I have been granted 2 grants, approximately $500,000 from the Department of Energy through TEMA for Florida Atlantic University to do flume tank testing, and Southwest Research Institute out of Texas to do high fidelity CFD modeling and analysis testing. Also, I've applied an application with the United States Army, X-Tech SBIR, for their clean tech competition to build a flat pack prototype turbine. Okay. I am seeking an investment of $475,000 for 12 months of development. As you can see, it's for a team of 2 engineering and 1 business development and consulting and hardware and marketing budgeting. There is so much more to discuss, and my visions are limitless for this technology. I thank you so much, and I look forward to speaking to you, and feel welcome to contact me anytime. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate that. Great presentation. The video really speaks volumes of how that technology works. One question about the competition in fixed blade turbines. What are some of the problems that you solve that you can scale and they can't scale to these large turbines? Oh, you're muted.
Nate, the biggest thing I've seen is the technology, just like the airplane style propellers that's out in the world, they're fixed to a rotor and then they have an arm off on each side just rotating. Well, as you know, the weak point is at the rotor and they can only reach so far out. And because of the density of the water, they will snap off. The other turbines out there that are like similar to what I have, but they have very funky designs, which is very hard to manufacture. And because the design I have is so simple, it works very well in the slow moving water currents because it's based off of a simple design that captures a wall of water at an area square foot. And as it rotates 360 degrees, it's locked and all the way from top to bottom on where it pivots. And it's also locked from top to bottom, which is no stress on the turbine blades, which can capture these big volumes of water currents and the density. And as it rotates, as you've seen in the video, it reverses and slices with no drag on the opposing side, which gives you complete force, just like a team of mules pulling a cart. And so these other turbines, they're different styles, but they can only get so big because of the weak point. Just like if you held a 2x4 in a water currents, your shoulder is the breaking point where their blades are connected to the rotor. And that's what makes this so where you can build a mega scale.
Great. Thanks, Scott. Moving on, Carl, take it away with Ocean Solutions, please. All right, we can see it, Carl, but you're still muted.
Okay. My name is Carl Pearson. I'm the founder and CEO of Ocean Solutions. The problems that we deal with are declining ocean health. This is coastal and freshwater, combined with climate change. And we're also concerned with a rising extinction risk due to all of these factors. At the core of what we're dealing with is eutrophication. Well-known term, we have nutrient runoff into a water body. Over time, this promotes algal growth. They're short-lived, they die, they go to the sediment and decompose. They consume oxygen. Natural processes to remove or control the nutrients also consume oxygen. So we have deoxygenation in the bottom water. This causes big problems and degrades the ecosystem. Examples of where this could apply are coral. Coral is known really for its bleaching, that's marine heat waves. Well, how do you protect the coral? Well, one of the biggest stressors of corals is nutrients. And if we use this process to reduce the nutrient concentration adjacent to the corals, we're going to improve their ability to survive. That's one aspect. Second aspect relates to Seagrasses, impaired seagrasses, this is impaired by nutrients, eventually are going to die and be lost. And as meadows, and meadows are worth quite a bit, a lot of services, they're going to emit carbon dioxide and methane. On the other hand, a healthy seagrass can affect the pH, affecting coral and protect it in another way. Algal blooms, we all know, we're particularly concerned with cyanobacteria blooms that are in season right now. Can we prevent them or at least reduce their frequency? I think we probably can. Okay, we take a nature-based approach to a solution. We're partnering with nature. So our work is going to be in situ and place-based, working with nature. Now, earlier times, waterfront property didn't look like this. Who would want to live in a place like this? Can we improve this? Yeah, sure. The process that we're using is used to improve the process that is in the top layer of sediments, whether they're marine or freshwater. And we're using oxygen. In fact, we're delivering dissolved oxygen that is produced by nanobubbles of oxygen with recirculated water and then delivered through a distribution system to the sediment. Nanobubbles are key here. These are 200 nanometers in diameter. They dissolve readily. They do not coalesce. They do not rise. You put them there, they're going to stay there. Are they going to get moved around by currents? Yes. A treatment would require multiple passes and should effectively deal with the nutrients and remove the problem. These problems are worldwide in scale, everything. In the past, there's been about $5 billion per year spent on ocean-related conservation. That is not doing the job, cannot do the job. We need to do better. According to the UN, we need to be spending $200 billion a year for 10 years to right this ship and put things on a sustainable track forward. A recent innovation, actually, it's got a history going back decades, are nature markets. This could be a new term to people, but they are intended to be introduced into the European Union in 2026. They will involve the private sector and suppliers of capital and the private sector as the people with the solutions to use and improve the situation. Accomplishments so far, we've been named a finalist in the Schmidt Coastal Pollution Challenge. We are a UN Ocean Decade Ocean Shot, a UN Ocean Decade project applicant, a Blue Incubator member, and a Blue Accelerator member concluding today. Our next steps, we need to reach these commercial markets, whether they are going to be conservation-based, wastewater-related based, or hopefully as soon as possible, the new nature markets. So we need to do a proof of concept test. This will be done in a university oceanographic mesocosm lab. This is where we bring nature into the lab and conduct our experiments there. And field pilot testing. We've been planning on doing this in Cape Cod, who have a lot of these problems, yet they have a lot of science developed to allow us to proceed quickly. In the last 2 years, we added Malaysia. In Malaysia, we have a coral scientist friend who is very interested in this project, and that is the coral triangle. So we would like to do our testing and proof of concept and commercialize it there. We're seeking collaboration partners, as well as support for proof of concept testing, which with an estimated cost of $100,000. I thank you for your time and attention, and I'm open to any questions should you have them.
Thank you, Carl. Carl, what kind of time scale are we looking at for some of these seagrasses? What's the current urgency to solve this problem?
The loss, this is impaired, this is nutrient impaired seagrasses. They are being lost at the rate of 7% per year. And that is currently around 7,000 square kilometers per year. I call it urgent. There's a list of services, and that headlined by Marine Habitat, that are lost when they are lost. Coastal protection, well, yeah, I would say they're urgent. Of the items that I've mentioned, the most urgent is going to be coral. They are the most vulnerable to this toxic combination of nutrients and climate change on Earth. Half of the corals have been lost, and the remaining half, consensus is that they will be gone should we do nothing by the end of the century. On this list, this is an IPCC list, seagrasses are number 3. So urgent, I would say yes.
Well, thank you for that, Carl. Great presentation. Definitely something that I've become more interested in throughout the course of the 12 weeks. Peter, we'll turn over to you. BioVert.
Good morning and good afternoon to everyone. My name is Peter Hamilton, founder and CEO of Thailand's BioVert Protein. We're the world's first biotechnology company using nature's clues to upcycle nutrients from wastewater into living fuel. Meet Kun Ann, a smallholder shrimp farmer in Thailand. With an intensive farm operation, each day she has to manage farm water quality to avoid organic sludge, uneaten feed and feces building up. Otherwise, disease risks increase while dissolved oxygen levels reduce. Mechanical aerators driven by electric motors is the technology widely used to oxygenate water, but these are inefficient, energy intense, and need regular maintenance. Meanwhile, Thai aquafeed producers want to replace fish meal or ground fish with an alternative protein in their products. Making 1 kilogram of fish meal requires 5 kilograms of wild-caught fish. This leads to unsustainable overfishing. Our targeted biovertical unlock uses 2 nature-based keys to help Kun Ann unlock renewable biomaterials within her farm wastewater. The first key injects micro nano bubbles into pond farm water. These tiny bubbles remain in water for days, weeks, even months, adding oxygen at a fast and even rate. Organic sludge and pathogens that touch these bubbles become inert and float to the surface to be removed. The second key is to feed the removed organic sludge to the black soldier fly insect for upcycling into an insect protein meal to replace fish meal used in aquafeed. Using clues from nature, we unlock organic waste found in abundant farm wastewater for reuse. Now let us show you how it's done.
Our value proposition is unlocking the recovery of nutrients and organic waste found in farm or abattoir wastewater using a 2-step unlock system. With ultra-fine bubbles, we separate organic waste suspended in wastewater. This process reduces energy use and maintenance costs, improves dissolved oxygen and agricultural productivity. Nutrients from removed contaminants, are recovered using insects to bioconvert them into circular organic products, such as insect protein meal and insect oil for sale to B2B pet food and animal feed customers.
Global aquafeed is forecast to grow by about 42.2 billion from 2015 to 2025, a 75% increase. The Thai aquafeed addressable market in 2021 is 1.58 billion US, but since 1995, wild fish stocks used to make fish meal have declined. Industrially upcycling organic waste into fish meal can replace fish meal to fill this gap. Using online forums such as Line, our message to shrimp farmers adopting our solution is we improve yields, reduce energy and disease risk. For feed millers needing to replace fish meal, trialing our meal samples can prove this. Currently, no specific rule or standard in Thailand refers to BSF product application in animal feed. We've contacted the Thai Department of Agricultural Commodities and Food Standards, ACFS, for clarification, since the Department of Fisheries allows insect product use in aquafeed. We believe IP restricts the freedom of competitors to operate with similar concepts as us. Thus, we are now preparing to file a patent. After a COVID-19 delay, we've restarted a BSF pilot and are raising a pre-seed round of $250,000 US for the pilot. The co-founders, Peter and Arturo, had previously worked for the same agribusiness company in the Philippines. We've seen directly how farmers are locked into a system where imperfect fruit is rejected at the factory gate. Leveraging our domain expertise in food manufacturing, we've used a nature-based approach to design out food waste in production processes. Our core skills are building capacity within teams to improve safety, quality, health, environment, and delivery standards for products and processes. This is how we are uniquely qualified to build trust in our circular economy brand and loyalty with consumers. So this is where you come in. Although we are in Thailand, we are exploring plans to establish a beachhead in the United States as part of our business strategy. By participating in the Blue Institute Accelerator, we are able to engage with Blue economy stakeholders such as yourselves to discuss the possibility of bringing our breakthrough innovation to the US. We are looking to meet with potential customers or negotiate a joint R&D and or commercialization agreement with a partner. Once again, I'm Peter Hamilton, founder and CEO of BioVet Protein. And if you're interested in partnering or sustainability or circular economy is your thing, then let's meet in the breakout room or I'll take any questions you have now. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Peter. Peter, what is your beachhead in the US? What are you targeting?
Thanks for the question, Nate. We see treatment of farm wastewater as the beachhead opportunity due to the high operating expenses for sludge removal and the cost of energy needed for aeration. Our solution helps farmers to reduce both these costs and reduce the risks from disease.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, Quantum, last but not least, Harmony Desal, here we go.
Good morning, everyone. Mining is crucial to our society. Whether it's your phone, computers, cars and trucks, or electricity sources, it all relies on rare earth metals or minerals that are dug up from the earth in places like this. Now, mining has been around basically as long as human beings have been around, but the mining industry is really going to have to evolve for the next several decades. In order to transition to renewables, we're going to need much greater supplies of metals like lithium, cobalt, and nickel. And there's also incentive for governments to build more diverse and robust supply chains. Now, let's take a step back and think about what is mining. Basically, at mines like this, we dig up lots of rock and crush it and process it. Inside of that rock, there's a very low concentration of valuable material, say aluminum. Now, the aluminum that's actually extracted from rock currently, maybe about half of it actually doesn't get extracted and gets tossed away into tailing dams like this one in Germany. Now, this is not only a huge waste, but it's also a huge liability. Every year, several of these dams fail, some more spectacularly than others. And when these dams fail badly, it not only ruins the surrounding environment, but sometimes does kill people. So what can we do about these dams? Well, one option, if you wanted to get rid of these dams, is to basically evaporate all that liquid and then process the valuable minerals that are in there. The problem is that takes a lot of energy. It's very expensive. Well, that's where we come in. Harmony Desalination, we're commercializing a technology developed at MIT called batch reverse osmosis. We're going to help the mining industry produce more water and less waste. Now, this is a spin off of the state-of-the-art desalination technology, reverse osmosis. It's not only the most energy efficient desalination process possible, but we think it's really readily scalable. We've built a couple prototypes already that use parts that are very similar to the ones seen here, available off the shelf. These are components that are used in large-scale desalination plants all over the world, including this one, a seawater desalination plant in Southern California, Carlsbad, California. But why is our technology a good fit for the mining industry? Well, you have to think about what's in the mining waste. Well, mining waste is really nasty. It's really acidic, corrosive, and caustic. So that's a problem. Also, mines are often located in remote locations, so shipping and logistics is really expensive. That means the uptime and reliability of these systems is super important, because if these systems go down, you're losing a lot of money every day, and getting in replacement parts can take a long time and get really expensive. So what's special about us? First of all, we protect the high pressure pump. That high pressure pump is doing all of the hard work. It's pressurizing the feed water, pushing it through the membranes. We protect that pump from corrosion and wear so it can keep on going all the time. Second of all, we treat the membranes way better because our process is dynamic. We're going to see less membrane scaling. We're also going to see less membrane fouling. What that means is less downtime for membrane cleaning, less chemicals that need to be trucked into this mine every single day. And finally, the membranes are going to perform better for longer. Finally, we provide energy efficient desalination without the need for energy recovery devices. These are complex, expensive pieces of equipment. They perform really well as long as you take good care of them. But we can provide energy efficiency without the need for them. That's basically just one less thing that mining operators need to worry about. And they really don't want to worry about water treatment at all. That's not their bread and butter. So basically, we think we can treat mining water where traditional membrane processes are not able to reliably perform. So let's go back to this tailing dam. Now, there's a lot of money basically sitting around in this dam, but it costs quite a bit to recover the resources from there, also called remining or waste valorization. Now, these dams can contain tens of millions of tons of waste. So processing the waste there can be an investment, easily billions of dollars. Now, this is where we come in. We think that with our technology, we can basically squeeze the tailings, reduce the volume of that dam by 2 to 5 times. So that's going to definitely reduce the processing costs, but also up concentrate the levels of the resources that you want in there. So that could also increase the efficiency of the recovery process. We're hopeful that we can help the mining industry evolve to a better standard, less liability, less waste, and hopefully less of these dams that are required and less mines that have to be dug up all over the world. My name is Quantum Wei. I'm the co-founder of Harmony Desalination. Happy to take your questions now and hopefully speak with some of you in the breakout rooms. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Quantum. Really appreciate your presentation. One question before we go to the breakout rooms. What is kind of the key to how your technology is able to save so much energy, and how does that compare to regular osmosis processes?
Sure. So yeah, this slide I think will be helpful for that. Basically, the way conventional reverse osmosis works, the reason it requires so much energy is because high pressures are required to push fresh water through the membranes. In conventional RO, it's a static process. It's constantly operating at the highest pressures, say 64 bar here. That's 64 times atmospheric pressure. Our process, batch RO, is a dynamic process. So rather than constantly operating at the highest pressures, we treat the water in batches and work our way up from a lower pressure, 33 bar, up to 64 bar. So you can see on this graph, you save all of that energy, and it's actually very close to the practical limit for energy in desalination.
Awesome. Thank you, Quant. Okay, everyone, we'd like to now open up some breakout rooms. We will not have any formal closing of the event, so we're going to have the breakout rooms open until 12 o'clock for you to spend time with any of the entrepreneurs that you want to hear more about their solution, more about how they're thinking about moving forward with the problem. We will provide a follow-up link so that you can have access to this video, the recording of the meeting. And we can send out additionally some presentation material of the startups so that you can review some of the content yourselves off